It's time to turn your great idea into a reality with Squarespace. Because Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're showcasing your work or selling products of any kind. With beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything, you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. But if you do get stuck, Squarespace's 24/7 award-winning customer support is there to help. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Did you know that there are only 2 FDA-approved medications that can prevent hair loss? Well, Keeps offers both. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair with convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications that are delivered straight to your door every 3 months, so you don't even have to leave your house. It's low cost. Treatments start at just $10 a month, and Keeps offers generic versions to keep those costs low. Discreet packaging, proven results, and more 5-star reviews than any of its competitors. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/bomb to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/bomb to get your first month free. Keeps.com/bomb. keeps.com/bomb. What up, Tricks? We need like a catchphrase. You need to hit a podcast hard at the top.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll test that one out.
Okay.
We'll test that one and see how it goes.
Is it like a call and a response type of thing? You say, "What up, Tricks?" and then we go, "Yeah."
Yeah. We probably need to figure out some kind of. That was when I was listening to a lot of satellite radio, DJ Premier's show. He had people in the studio who would shout out part of the phone number. So he would be like 1-866, and then just some dude would go 60, and then he would say the rest of the phone number. So maybe we need that kind of flow, that kind of back and forth.
We could do it with the episode number.
Yeah. 680.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Can be Crook and Kite. Tricks. I don't know. Okay. Hi, I'm Jeff Kurtzman. Brad Shoemaker is on assignment. This is your Giant Bombcast for April 6th, 2021. And Jan Ochoa is here. How's it going, Jan?
680.
That's right. Jason, A Striker.
Oh, that's
in the
me.
building. In his building. I mean, in your building.
680. I'd yell at the person downstairs for being too loud. I should probably shut up.
Yeah. So we'll have a whispery pod. You just turn your mic all the way up, and then you just ASMR it for the rest of the show. It'll be really hot. Danny O'Dwyer standing
680
alone. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
I have to do it this way. As you can see on the video version, I am in a new room. I have moved my studio. The baffling is not up yet, so I have a portable baffling solution here.
I like that.
I know, it's a nightmare, isn't it? It's like a little miniature sound booth for yourself, but it's also too small. It doesn't go high enough for the mic. So I'm just going to kind of talk. I'm going to talk into the space here. Just make sure we don't get that nasty reverb.
Sometimes I like a nasty reverb, like a real wet, all that dry audio. Just there's nothing going with it. That is, it's like you're standing. It's like I feel like you're in some kind of Hideo Kojima version of a future toilet or something, with the way that thing, it's like that just rises up around you while you handle your business, and then it goes and turns it into knives, or slice time in half, or
it's got a sort of an Iron Maiden feel to it, like the spiky baffling coming in. Yeah, so I'm not so sure. I've gone full fisheye on the lens too, so it's a real look this week. Are you going to skateboard later? I mean, if you have a fisheye lens, I'm going for more of a Dutch angle now. Do you know what the most depressing song on that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is? It's that mid-20s skateboarder. Yeah. Isn't that like, because you just like, you look at you're like, wow, to be a man, that sounds, the youth.
Right. It's like, wait a minute, mid-20s, that sounds like you're still ready to go, right? Oh, wait. What about mid 40s skateboarder?
Could you imagine? Yeah, I recently picked up BMXing during the pandemic because my legs can't deal with the skateboarding. The knees aren't there. I'm not sure the BMX is helping, but it's a little bit easier.
Have y'all seen these wild groups and gangs of young teenagers on BMX bikes in the city or around?
No, I mean,
oh my god. I was
people running roughshod over
or something or what?
Yeah. Totally. No, yeah, just yelling 680. These kids, like I was driving.
AM radio fans, big AM radio fans. I love the Giants over there.
I was driving by the office like a couple months ago, and there was like a group of like 10, 15 kids, must have been like 16 or younger, all on pimped out, neon colored BMX bikes, just like running roughshod, like doing heelys. Someone was like waving like a towel around or something, like a rally rag. It was great. And then like my partner was like, should we call someone? And I was like, no, let those kids be. Let those fucking kids be.
That's right. While the streets are empty, the BMX bikes will run rampant.
Hell yeah.
That's great. No, that's
and like they all had the pegs and everything.
Wow. So they have like people on the pegs and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
That's good.
There was like a kind of like a heavier child that was just like acting as the bass while like the other kid did a wheelie, and it was amazing. I was like, damn, that's friendship right there.
Yeah, that's right.
Mad Max.
That's a true tag team. Yeah, no, they're just getting ready for our Mad Max-esque future when you can ride through the financial districts of every city like that.
Hell yeah.
Just like, okay, we'll take a board, we'll hammer some rusty nails through it, and then let's get out there and make something happen. Oh man, I can't wait. Take me first. That's awesome. What else is going on? We got video games. We got video games.
There's a bunch of video games I feel like this week. Finally,
yeah. Outriders seems like the biggest of the new releases this week, and it's on Game Pass, which is nice. So it feels like everyone has been talking about Outriders since Outriders came out. I feel like every corner I'm looking at is people going like, "Yeah, no, Outriders."
For good insight, I guess.
Yeah, is everyone been playing some Outriders? Who? Let's get a level check. Who's been playing Outriders? What level did you get up to? Who got the furthest? All that sort of stuff.
I thought about.
I got up to like level 4, and then I realized my dude's name was Everhard or Everard. And I didn't want to roll with that, so I re-rolled. Now I'm level 6, I think.
Okay.
Technomancer.
All right. Technomancer. All right. Yeah. Danny, you played the demo. Have you carried that over into the main game at all yet?
No, because I played the demo on PlayStation.
Oh, right.
You're right. So I had to go through the whole thing. So I stayed away from it over the weekend because people were saying there was some bad connectivity issues.
Server issues,
yeah. So I finally spun back in yesterday. Got through the prologue fairly sharpish. You can skip through a lot of those cutscenes. So that didn't take all that long. But then I had a thing where it hard crashed twice. Like straight just like dropped to Xbox home screen. No signal that anything had happened. And when I went back in, thankfully it loaded me back to the area I was in, but it did it twice. And I was like, I'm going to come back to this. So I've only played like the first couple of missions back in that hub area, so I haven't gone further than I did when I did the demo stuff.
Cool. Jan, you touch much of it?
I've thought about touching it, but I've not dived deep into Outriders just yet.
Yeah, I got pretty into Outriders. Turns out,
sounds like
surprising.
What level am I? I am it's deceptive because you can equip gear that's higher than your level. So what am I? I think I'm level 17, but I can equip level 20 gear. That's like world tier 6, I think is what that is.
Oh, cool. All right.
And that game, that demo, and I think the early parts of that game are very deceptive in that I think that game, the early parts of that game are pretty terrible.
You did not like it. Didn't sound like you were enjoying that when we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
I came away from my time with the demo, and even just when the full game came out and I had to restart because I was also moving from PlayStation to Xbox. It was this feeling of like, man, this just sucks. Like these abilities don't feel good. There's just like they're very one note, like all that sort of stuff. And of course the story and cutscenes and voice acting and all that other stuff is just abysmal.
Ass.
The stuff is just so bad. But you get to about level 10 or so, and you start getting gear. Well, I mean, you unlock more skills. Well, I guess the other thing is I changed classes from like whatever the fire guy is, the pyromancer. Is there a pyromancer class? Anyway.
Yeah. You said you didn't like that at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't much care for that. I changed to Trickster, which is the guy who can teleport behind enemy line, like teleport behind an enemy, and is way more in your face. And you unlock some additional abilities there. But you get to about level 10 or so, and you start getting rare gear that starts to have mods on it that will impact your abilities. So, like one of the first abilities you get as the Trickster is like this, weird knife, a blade attack sort of thing, a mind blade, whatever you want to call it. And one of the first ones that I got there was like, yo, what if you could use this twice before it went on cooldown? And I was like, that actually, like, for as basic as that sounds, it's a huge impact. And so you start getting more and more of those where it's like, okay, now when I teleport behind a guy, it can do 3 different status effects to that guy. It could have a 5-meter radius of like hurting other people around him, like other stuff that you can kind of slot onto your gear. And it got to be a whole lot of fun at that point, because that's when you start thinking about like, okay, I can only equip 3 abilities at a time. And I want to make sure I have the right ability modifiers on this gear to kind of make the most of those 3 abilities. And okay, I'm going to change out this ability, but that means I need to go change this gear to do this instead. And there was just a lot of thinking as I get into that process. And I'm still only on like tier 1 of the mods, or I got a couple of tier 2 mods, but it goes up to tier 3. And so I'm hoping that as you kind of get deeper and deeper into the game, that will continue to be cool. Because that is the thing that really changes that game and makes it a lot of fun. And it's very easy to kind of swap those mods out on your gear. Like basically once you, if you take an item that has a mod on it and, turn it into resources, break it down, like that mod goes into your inventory, and then you can just put it on whatever you want over and over again. It's not a one-time use thing. It's just like anytime you get an item that has a mod you don't like, you're like, okay, well, whatever. I'm going to put the mods I'm using on it to make it useful. And, so you can kind of maintain your build as you swap out gear. And that ended up being a lot of fun. That like even that part of it ends up overcoming a lot of the shortcomings of kind of the rest of the game. It's funny because like the world design and the level design and stuff like that is like very one note in like an early Gears of War way, like before Gears of War realized they needed to change it up and be like, oh, we can't just have a bowl with cover all throughout. Like we have to do more than that. Like this game is very much like, here's a walking section and then you start seeing cover and you're like, okay, this is where the fight is. But the catch is that, and they kind of turn it on its head in a way that works out. It's the sort of thing I fell into it and I was like, oh, actually this is like kind of fucking amazing. Like at first you're like, all this cover is terrible. Like the cover system in this game is like super basic. I don't need to take cover. Like the game, you recharge health by doing something. So it kind of keeps you moving from thing to thing. With my guy, for any kill I get up close, I get health back. So I need to play as a close range character or I'm not healing. So if I equip sniper rifles, I can use them just fine, but I'm hanging back and they are shooting me and I'm taking damage and I'm not getting anything back. So for that character class, I just need to be up there doing things. And so the thing you realize eventually is like, oh, the cover is for them. The cover is for the fucking enemies. Especially like they need the cover more than you do. Because you're teleporting behind them and then cutting them apart and they are turning into bone men and exploding. And you're just like ripping apart 8 guys in one slice of your weird fucking knife. But the other part of that is like you've teleported to the middle of the battle, and now all the guys that you've teleported past hop on the other side of that cover, And so now you've got guys at both sides of you shooting at you,
Oh.
which is fucked. But you're like, okay, well, whatever, I can handle this. You pop a weird time bubble to stop the bullets from coming in and do some other things. Like, they give you the tools you need to get into and out of trouble. And so like that push and pull of like, oh, I went out too hard. I went too far out there and ended up with too many enemies all surrounding me, and that's fucked up. So, okay, let's get this guy instead, teleport to him, fuck him up, and these guys for a while. Then as soon as that area gets too hot, your teleport cooldown is probably back. So you teleport somewhere else, kill that guy to heal, and then kind of hang back for a sec while something else recharges. And so that flow ends up being a whole lot of fun. I can't really speak to the other classes, but like Trickster is super fun.
The Technomancer is definitely on the other end of the field as far as, popping and shooting and,
it's like a long range class,
damage
right?
and stuff. Yeah, he's a long range class, but he's got gadgets and stuff. So he's got like a cryo turret that'll freeze enemies if they pop their head up, which is great for me because I suck at sniping. But it puts a big old like ice symbol over their head, and I'm like, all right, that guy is next. So I can see where it would synergize with like your character if you went hot and heavy into the middle of the action, and those guys popped out of cover. It would just line people up for me, and I gain health by doing any kind of damage, which is nice. So I can play any way I want. I've got like an AOE, freezing thing with my melee ability, which is great if people come up on me. It's been fun so far. Like I can see how the powers work with one another.
Yeah,
it's been cool.
That's cool.
Been, pleasantly surprised, especially after that bad taste that the demo left in my mouth. So I'm looking forward to playing more. It's cool.
Yeah, I am too. It seems like there's a fair amount of the game. Go ahead.
Have any of you guys done party play? Because it actually does seem very viable as a single player game. I've, from sounding, well, you guys have you guys played in party stuff yet, or are you all just?
No,
soloing?
I'm too early. Yeah.
Yeah, no, not yet. So the other part of the game that I think will kind of force people to play together if they want to keep ascending along the track is the world tier system. You know how Diablo 3 had like 15 different difficulties, and it would like, you get to the upper end and it's like, this is going to raise your rare drop rate by 8,000%, and you can do this and that. Like this has that, and you unlock those tiers as you play. So your character's leveling up and your tier is leveling up. And you can change to whatever tier you want at any time. But I'm playing on the highest tier available, which for me right now is 6. And talking to some other people that have played more of the game than I have, it sounds like maybe around 6 or 7 might be where it starts to get dicey as a solo player. And for sure on tier 6, like it has a pop up after you die on an encounter like more than 2 or 3 times. It'll be like, hey, you can go drop the world tier down at any time. Just want to point that out to you, let you know. But I have not done that yet, and it ends up that has made the gameplay more exciting because it's been a lot more of like, okay, now I need to really like think about each encounter as opposed to just like, here's a dumb bowl full of enemies behind cover and I'm going to just work all of them and keep moving forward. Like there've been people out there saying like the game's 9 hours long, which is like, if you left it at tier 1 and didn't do any of the side stuff or whatever, like, yeah, you could probably traipse through it and it wouldn't be a big deal. But like, I'm 9 hours in and I'm in the wreckage zone, which seems like it is maybe a third of the way through. I fought like 1 boss, I think. So, so it seems like there's kind of a lot more game left there.
Can you go back and fight any of the bosses you've done or redo areas at a higher tier or anything like that?
You can redo, I know all the side stuff you can definitely redo. Like you can finish it and then accept it again right there if you want and just go do it again. So I assume the story, yes, there's like a timeline that you can reset your story progress to at any point you've been on. I think you have to go to a separate menu for that, but you can kind of get to wherever you want to and replay that stuff again. And then when you party up with people, I think it is going to bring you into the world state of whoever is like the host of the game or whatever. So I imagine that'll be some other ways to maybe replay the story and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I haven't gotten any of the multiplayer yet. I think we're going to try to do some on the site. Maybe might have to wait till next week because of my daughter's getting her shots or more shots, but and she does not react to those super well. So maybe, but yeah. So yeah, we'll probably get into some multiplayer. It's got crossplay, but I guess the PC to console crossplay is broken right now. They keep saying like every time you launch the game, it pops up and goes like, "Hey, you can play with PlayStation people, but if you connect to PC people, it might just break." So they're working on something there. I guess the other part is like the story, like I said, the story and the cutscenes and just the production value of that end of the game. I for as good as I think parts of the gameplay are, even though I think there are things about the combat design that maybe are a little one note, like every mission, especially the side missions, is like walk, here's a fight, walk, here's another fight, collect the objective, and then warp back to the hub and then do that again, like in a different direction of the map or something like that. Like the areas are not that different yet. And so that is maybe a little repetitive, but the story, cutscenes, characters, like every part of the game there, I think is insanely terrible. Like it's wild how bad it is. Like you wonder, did they hold off on voice recording until the very end and then had to do it during the pandemic? And did something go bad there, or was this I don't know what happened there, but that stuff is just abysmal. Just the sentences themselves, the way they are read, the voices, just kind of across the board. I'm trying to think what the story even is, because some people in chat were like, what is the story of this game? What you go to Earth is bad, so everyone gets on colony ships and leaves Earth, and then something happens. You uncover some kind of black sludge, and then
on this new planet that you found,
on this new planet. Then you are thrown into a cryopod, and you're injured, and it warps forward 30 years. And then kind of the intro to Skyrim happens, where you're being wheeled through on a cart, but instead of a dragon, it's just missiles or something. And then you get hit by some kind of space storm that they call the anomaly, and it turns you into a god. Most people, it just rips apart or something, or something unknown happens to them, but you have come out the other end with abilities. And so and they call those altered. And so there are other altered characters around the game that you will find, and they all kind of have their own motives, whereas all these scrappy humans are just trying to survive and fight each other over what resources are left and trying to find a way around the anomaly. The other altereds are kind of on a different level and just like, whatever, we're going to go pursue this other thing that we're trying to do, or they kind of have their own motives, which like I feel like could be interesting, but the way it's played out so far has just been super bad.
I like that first little chat you had with that altered guy who's like, it's almost like, you fucking ants. Like, I don't care what the humans are doing. Like, whatever. Like, I'm dealing with this other. It seemed like that might have been interesting, even if the baseline story stuff of them trying to get out of, like, because they're like trapped by this force or something. Is that what it is? They're like, they can't get out of the valley.
The anomaly is like they're trapped in some kind of valley or something that nothing electronic is working. Like they kind of are stuck, and so they're fighting over whatever resources are left. But there's some signal, which is the signal that you picked up 30 years ago before you went in the cryopod. And so right now in the story, I am on the hunt for that signal, and every time you move to a different zone, it's like someone turning to your character and go like, yeah, but we sent a lot of people there and none of them came back. You're like, oh no. But like every time you move to a new zone, they kind of say that, where it's like, oh, the wreckage zone. Oh, we've sent a lot of people into the forest, but I don't know. And
not really good at recon, huh?
Yeah, apparently not. So, but it's that story over and over again. But yeah, I don't know. Like maybe it ends up paying off in the end, but I feel like a lot of the moment to moment and even like your individual character. I played as a guy this time. I played as a lady, and when I was playing the demo, but both were pretty terrible. There's just like a weird attitude of like, your guy is like kind of cocky, but it doesn't come across well. But I don't think they intend it to come across as awkward as it does. So it's just this weird half cocked, like he's almost like he's like that guy in Apex. He's like Mirage in Apex, but like 80% less cool than that. Oh, so it's just this weird like
attitude.
I'm gonna do like there's just a little bit of that around the edges, but then mixed with like, well, whatever, old man. I don't know. It's just. It's it's been pretty terrible on that front. So very skippable cutscenes, but you know, like as far as a third person shooter Diablo-esque, I feel I'm like the more and more I play of it, the more I'm kind of reminded of Diablo 3 in terms of like the systems and setting. Like there are just aspects of the way that game is structured.
Such, yeah.
Yeah. That feels kind of more like that. And it's weird, you know, like for all the problems and stuff they had over the weekend with server capacity and all this other stuff, you'd think this was a live game, despite them getting out and trying to adamantly say like, no, we're not making a live game, which I feel like the only thing they didn't do is make a social hub.
Oh, thank God.
But like maybe they should have. I don't know. If maybe it wouldn't matter if you occasionally saw another player running around the town or something, maybe that wouldn't.
Is that not the case? Did they not?
No.
Because I got that impression, because that's where you connect, is in like a hangar in the town. So they don't even do that. Come into your room or.
So I think when people join your game, I assume that they are everywhere with you. But
right,
it's not like if you're playing alone, you'll just encounter other players when you're out there doing stuff.
Right,
like it is. But at the same time, you can't pause it. And the first thing you do when you hit the button to launch the game is connect to a server and all this sort of stuff. So it's like it's got all the trappings of a game that was supposed to be that game, but for whatever reason isn't. And then they try to capitalize on like, hey, you know, we're not making one of those Destinies or Diablo or these Destiny style games.
Avengers.
And right, yeah, which I'm sure like Square after Avengers probably doesn't want anyone to say that they're making another one of those. But also it doesn't have any, you know, real microtransactions or anything like that. I think there's like one cosmetic thing you can buy that came with pre-orders or something like that. So they haven't hit it hard with a store or anything like that either. Which is neither here nor there. Like I think that, you know, it's not like something where like, oh, this is refreshing because it's old school and it doesn't have all that Destiny stuff in it that is actually fine. So it ends up just feeling like a half-cocked one of those instead of just admitting that it's one of those. It's weird.
It's great that it had the Game Pass stuff. It seems like it's really having its day in the sun. Like people are playing it, people are talking about it. The sentiment is like almost the opposite as of the Avengers stuff, right? Where, you know, it's just, I think the communication's been good, even though it's been a bit spotty over the weekend, the server stuff. But yeah, it just goes to show, like, if you have a decent combat system that's like fun and requires players to think about it, it gets you pretty far in this genre. You know, it seems like the most important part of this type of game.
Yeah, I think so too. I think between it being on Game Pass and between it kind of coming out at a time when there really hasn't been much else to play, like it really is kind of a perfect storm. Because I think there, like I said, I think there are a lot of glaring things about this game that if you and I, you know, I don't know that I would recommend it on other platforms where it is a $60 game because I think that some of that stuff is really crappy. But Game Pass is the perfect place to play a game like this. It has that quintessential B game vibe. It still feels like something that it feels like a remastered version of a Xbox 360 game that came out in like, you know, 2007 or something like that. It's, you know, and that's positive and negative, I guess, in some ways. Jan, I want to hear about the League of Legends. I want to know about the Wild Rift.
Yes. So
let's get wild, Jan.
Let's get wild, baby. So League of Legends, popular MOBA game. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Is now released.
Game?
League of Legends? I don't know. It's
like a superhero thing. What is that?
It's like one of those tower defenses, but you're like attacking the towers instead, and there's like creeps.
It's like a tower attack. Like a
tower attack game. Yeah, I think that's the genre.
Okay.
But they recently ported it out to iOS with League of Legends Wild Rift, and I forgot my original Riot login, so I couldn't necessarily connect my accounts. And it's probably a good thing because I probably spent way too much time on that account, and I don't want to be reminded of it. So I can't speak to how the process is of unlocking characters and whether or not like the integration is with your if you have an existing Riot account.
Right.
Here, your League always worked in that every week you have a rotation of 5 free characters, but you had the option to, of course, buy the remaining whoever and whatever characters available. But yeah, it's pretty much just freaking League of Legends. It's just streamlined on a phone though, and I've always been really hesitant about anyone being able to adapt a MOBA onto a phone, mostly because sometimes you do have to make more tactile decisions, whether it's like when to attack a mob to get the last hit, or when to attack an enemy, or like trying to recover from an encounter or whatever. And for the most
micro,
part,
you're micro.
Exactly.
You need a mouse for that.
Get your APM up.
Yeah.
And for the most part, like I'm playing on an 8 Plus and performance, an iPhone 8 Plus, and the performance hasn't been bad at all. Just normal phone getting super hot, but and I guess since I have a bigger screen and a little bit more real estate, it does a twin stick shooter big control stuff. So you're moving around with like the left corner of your screen, and I haven't had any major problems with it. There've been a couple times where I haven't been able to get like the proper hit on like an enemy mob to get the extra gold. But for the most part, like the targeting for other enemies, for like other players has been pretty good. And a thing that I always had trouble with, even in the base game on the PC, is canceling an attack. But here it's like, okay, you have your ult ready, you're ready to hit it, but the person pops off screen. Just move your finger off the screen and it'll cancel it out. And for the most part, like the games, in my experience, I don't know if it's because I've been playing like at the very bottom tier with other people, and it's a bunch of other newer players, but the games have been going by relatively fast for a League game.
Well, I think that's the idea, right?
Question.
Yeah. I think part of this was that they were working to make it a faster paced game, or something that took up a little less time to kind of get this onto mobile and consoles or wherever else it ends up. But yeah, does it feel dramatic? I mean, to hear you describe it, it sounds like it's just League. But I suspect they probably made a bunch of different little changes to it.
I guess maybe there, like the little changes have been so minute that I haven't really noticed it from like a full game of League, which I guess is good. Like
so they say.
So
League
they
of
say.
Legends. Yeah.
There's like a lot more, and I haven't touched a League in years, so I don't know if the tutorialization of the game is more in your face now. But the tutorial process is like pretty neat for onboarding someone into the process of how to play one of these games. Like it even tutorializes like, hey, this type of character goes in this lane with this type of character as their support. These 2 other characters can go mid or top. And then like the 5th character, you should just hang out in the jungle and just call your shots. And also it actually handles pinging really well. And, of course on a touchscreen, you can just like plop down where you want like folks to be. It's like, hey, it's time to attack Baron, or hey, let's set up a sneak attack here, or enemies are popping out from over here. Let's take care of that. And I think I like the ability that I haven't seen anyone spam anything toxic in chat.
Okay.
Because like, no matter like what level of League you're playing, whether you're playing with your friends or like some randoms,
someone's gonna be pissed about something.
Someone's gonna be pissed about something. Sometimes it's me that's pissed about the thing. But I guess like I don't know if I just haven't seen it or I've turned it off inadvertently, but not only being able to see like the pings from other players has made this a much more enjoyable game, rather than actually hearing people like call their shots of like, no, we gotta be here right now. Versus something else. And like the for the most part, the characters, like the feel is exactly the same like how it is on PC. I still had that same level of familiarity that I had with the characters. Thankfully, the first 5 that were out, 3 of them were the ones that I mostly played as.
Okay.
So there was that level of familiarity. And it handles the shot pretty well. Like it'll do the auto recommendation of like, hey, this is the type of character you're playing. You should probably focus on this and this rather than that. And then from there, it's like has the auto crafting thing of like, hey, so you bought that item, which you're going to need for this item. So we'll just combine that. All right, cool. Yeah, good. And even like the bot matches are like fun to jump into just to get like a quick game off. But yeah, League of Legends Wild Rift, it works surprisingly well.
I guess like I just didn't know much about it, so I think like I was kind of under the assumption that it was like way going to end up being way stripped down or something. There's like here's a 3-on-3 league, or, or just like some kind of different spin on it. And I'm sure. I mean, you said you haven't played a game of proper league in a pretty long time, so there are probably a lot of changes that they made. I would assume there are some changes they made here, but it sounds like it's pretty recognizable as it's league.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I feel like it's free unless you want to spend the money to get the paid currency and like unlock specific characters. So I could see a lot more people jumping into this, and I feel like it's been a missed opportunity for Riot to not try and make one of these. Because, man, I haven't popped on the iOS game portion of the App Store in a while, and it is nothing but copies of some type of league or auto chess or some type of game in between,
Totally. It's like here's 9 different companies that Tencent has invested in, and they all have 3 MOBAs each, and and here's another one. It's that stuff blew up. I mean, we were kind of talking about Facebook gaming as one does all the time. No, it's like when that stuff launched, is that it seems like that is a site largely, and most of what I saw was like people outside the United States streaming mobile games. And streaming a lot of MOBAs that you just have never heard of, and you're like, I don't know, this is out in some part of the world, it's not here. I don't know, or battle royale games. It's like that, and MOBAs are the currency of mobile streaming. It seems like. So, I mean, it makes sense for them to finally get here with something like League, I guess.
Yeah. Turbo Man in the chat's asking like, how's the community as far as welcoming new players? I think if you're starting at the very bottom, like I have on the phone, I think you'll have a mostly positive experience. I think the downside there is that folks may be lost in terms of like their specific role. Like the tutorial does do a good job, but I can't see folks just kind of skipping past that and like, hey, I'm going to play as this healer character and I'm going to go off in the jungle. I'm not going to support any of you guys. I'm just going to keep healing.
I'm just going to run around here and kill and then heal myself. I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm sure, there'll be some people who just don't even know what a MOBA is, that are just kind of running around doing stuff. But
for the most part, it's been good. I've been pleasantly surprised.
Nice. And then a couple of you playing some Monster Hunter Rise.
Jason, man, I got over that hump, man. I got that Rampage quest done that I was putting off for like a week. And that was completely gating off my progression into high rank. So I just did it. There was one time that I failed that I thought I was done with Monster Hunter for good. But we persevered, baby. We got through it. And now we're deep into high rank stuff. And I need a Magnum Aloe plate. But yeah, still very much in lust with the Monster Hunter.
Jason, are you using those new wire bug skills for the weapon you're using, or are you just hanging to like the normal?
I'm doing a little bit. I'm using Lance, so like they're not that spectacular. There's more of a counter that I've been using, which buffs up your next handful of attacks. So I kind of time that with my parry as well. So I've got a couple different options as to what I can do. Aside from that, I'm using the wire bug out of combat more, like when my weapon's sheathed, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I'm using that for more mobility and as a GTFO if I'm in the heat of stuff. So I'm still slowly integrating the wire bug stuff and trying to manage if I wanted to use it for attack or for mobility, but we're getting there. Thinking about branching out with a new weapon soon. I think we'll see. Longsword,
it's
probably.
A lot of commitment.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I went back to the hammer, but then for a little bit, just because I had more familiarity there. And then the wire bug skill with that is pretty neat because you just shoot out your wire bug straight, and you can choose to charge up your hammer if you want. Then after you let go, you just do a full-on dash and you just swing really hard.
Yeah.
And depending on whichever hammer you're using, and if you hit the head, you'll pretty much every time wind up stunning the monster, which has been absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. But then I wound up watching a couple more videos on how to use the lance properly, and switch back to that, and switch back with the wirebug skill to counter. And man, you were just a tank. You were literally a tank. You could, if you are able to play it correctly and get the timing down, you never get hit by squat. Like you could full on like take on an enemy like head on, and it's no big deal. And I think
it's very empowering. Yeah,
it is very empowering.
Nice.
And then like with the other weapons I played around with, like back in World, where like the insect glaive and the hunting horn, and like those you kind of have to hang back more and be a little bit more conservative in terms of like enemy encounters. But like, damn, with that lance, Jason, you just up in there. It's not even like up in the butt. It's just like you're staring them dead in the eyes, and like, no, this isn't happening the way you
face.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like the other neat thing is like the wyvern riding, which is or whatever. Like when you,
I'm getting a little bit better at that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I didn't know you could, when you mount them, you could just run them into a wall, which is a little sad.
Wow. That's great.
Seems uncool. I don't know.
You beat them down, you tie them up, and you run them into a wall.
but yeah, like so you can mount them, and then sometimes there's another bigger enemy monster that you can wind up attacking. But then I've found that you can just run the one you're mounting into a wall, and it's a little bit sad, but it's a little hilarious. And sometimes you wind up getting the monster parts you need because they'll break off mid contact with a wall.
Yep,
it's really fucked up.
It's actually part of the meta now, is like going and finding a non-target monster, hopping on that, running to where the target monster is, and attacking that monster with the monster that you're currently on, and then doing it again, back and forth, and farming for materials. It's a whole thing. I'm not quite at that level, but holy shit.
Yeah, the farming part is kind of been a hindrance for me so far. Just with how random it is, like with the mining, I just need one maculite ore, but I haven't been able to find it for like 5 hours.
Really? Oh man, yeah, you're just hitting the wrong map, I guess.
But man, like if World comes back and it does not have the wirebug system, I don't know, because like this stuff is really good. Like you can just jet across the map. I've seen a video where someone will, you'll jump in. And you'll have the 2 wire bugs, but you have the chance to pick up a 3rd wire bug. But I saw someone go from one corner to the other corner in the Shrine Ruins, which is the first map, almost all the way, at least half the way, doing 2 wire bugs, and then just throwing down barrels. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
Because like the barrels, the animation will just like propel you, like you'll go forward a bit and you'll still stay up and maintain that vertical level, and then by then sometimes your wire bug will recharge. It's hilarious. Great.
That's pretty crazy.
The whole thing. People have
cool.
found ways to really get mobile in that game.
All right. Well, let's talk about this. Danny, is this Dorfon Romance? What is this?
Dorfromatik, I think is how we're pronouncing this.
Yeah,
German for village romance. It's made by a bunch of student devs out of Berlin, 4 of them, and it's kind of the hot shit on Steam Early Access at the moment. I don't know if this just looks like Carcassonne at all, or if there's some sort of, I've like never played that game, so I couldn't tell you, but it's kind of like a chill version of the Loop Hero tile system for when you're making forests and shit, and the outside, the mountains and all that. It's basically a game where you've got a stack of hex tiles and you are tasked with sort of creating a village. It's like a rural sort of setting. Some of the tiles have town, little houses on them. Some of them have forests, rivers, fields, that type of thing, right? I guess the 3 sides have something else on them. And every once in a while you get a tile. You're building this tile set, just like it's growing out from the center as you're dropping the tiles down. But every once in a while, a tile will have like a goal on it. Like it'll have like 5 houses, and you have to get 5 houses together on the board. Sometimes it's exactly 5, and if you go over, you won't complete this goal. Sometimes it's anything over 20. And then when you do that, you get more tiles added to your stack. So you're basically trying to complete these goals of, we want a forest of 20, or make a river that's 14, river parts long, that type of thing, so that you're getting more tiles, so that you can keep making this map bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as you're doing that, the further you go out, you eventually, and the more of these sort of I think it's just one level. I think you just play until you die, I'm pretty sure. I don't think there's like levels to it or anything. But you have sort of master goals as well, like, place 500 tiles in a map, or make a train section.
They get big. Like this stuff kind of get like as big as you can get it before you lose, kind of.
You end up zooming out pretty far, and then kind of, by the end they're asking you for like, make a forest of 400 trees or something, so what you're basically doing strategically is trying to make big cities and big forests and big sets of fields and big rivers. But then at a certain stage you'll get a river tile that's like 6, and like all my rivers are over 10 long. Like, I guess I have to start a new river. But as you go out, as you grow out, you sort of hit tiles which unlock new either biome types or new pieces, kind of. Like sometimes now my river will have a boat in it, and the boat wants to have a certain amount of water. But it's super chill. There's no like time limit on it. The music is so peaceful. It looks like idyllic. It's like a real... I saw somebody on the Steam reviews call it the video game equivalent of a cat falling asleep on your lap. It's kind of like I ended up playing last night for like 2-3 hours, maybe. Just like, it's such a chill game, but it's also like there's strategy involved. So yeah, I'm really into it. It's cool. It looks great. It's a very like easy game to sit down and play.
Oh yeah, okay. Now, and I'm looking at a little bit of video of this. Yeah, okay, I get. Yeah, this looks very nice. It's got a very relaxing vibe. $10 on Steam.
Yeah, you can't go wrong, I don't think. It seems to be, all the reviews seem to be pretty good for it. And I think if I had anything that I'd like, I wish it was maybe a bit more level based, or maybe you got something at the end. Because like, it literally just gives you a game over screen when you use your last tile. But it'd be cool to like, explore your world or export a map of it or something like that to,
Or like, would persistence make sense about like, hey, you did this and now you've unlocked the thief class? No, I don't know, not a thief class, but like, some kind of like, hey, you've unlocked these biomes, will now be there at the beginning of the game, as opposed to having to find them along the way.
I actually think it does do that now that you mention it. Yeah, because like the boats that I unlocked, or what did I unlock? There's a weird, like, it was like a river boat station or something. Those are now in it from the start. So I guess there is some kind of persistence. Yeah.
Nice.
To it too. Yeah, it's cool.
This looks
all right, Dorfromatik.
Looks real romantic.
What a great name as well, Dorfromatik.
Yes, Dorfromatik. But I when Brad was talking about it yesterday, and I kept thinking he was trying to say dwarf romantic, and then I thought he was. At first, I was like, "Yeah, exactly. Like, is this a Dwarf Fortress mod? Like, what is the dwarf Tinder? Like." And then, did you end up checking out Oddworld Soulstorm? I know it's out as of like last night. Did you end up touching it at all? I know it's PlayStation Plus and Epic today. Yeah,
I played about 3 or 4 hours of it.
Okay,
nice.
It's. I think it's good. I think they did it.
Huh.
So yeah, Soulstorm. It's the latest from Lauren Lanning and the East Bay represent Oddworld inhabitants, based up in Berkeley. So it's on PC and PlayStation, but it's on PlayStation Plus, so you've no excuse not to go play it. So I don't think I really played much of any of the other sequel. Like, I never played Munch's Odyssey. I don't think I played any of the other. I've only ever played the first one. Abe's Odyssey on the PlayStation. They
got pretty different. Munch is a pretty different game. I didn't much care for it. And then Stranger's Wrath is a very different game, and I still think that's probably the best one of the franchise so far.
Is that the kind of westerny one or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't play. Yeah. So I think this one just starts off like from the end of the first game, because they have escaped Rupture Farms. They are talking about, we are out of Rupture Farms and we are now, for people who don't know what Oddworld is, like, it's such a, how do you explain what this thing is?
Okay, it's Prince of Persia, but you're an alien guy and you can far. And
OG print, not like
yes,
like
original actual Prince of Persia, not whatever the fuck they put out after that,
or Flashback.
Or Flashback, or Out of This World,
Another World,
like that. Yes, that style of Blackthorn, like that style of game. And you are trying, your race has been enslaved by another race and turned into food or something, and so you're trying to break them out and set them free. You have different abilities that you can use to manipulate them, like call them over or do this, or like what you can meditate to make people blow up. Is that a thing?
Yeah, so like
I'm
literally
just making that up now. I don't even remember.
I should just get you to explain the first game, because this, maybe my memory is different, but like this is almost all of the stuff I remember from the first game. Is that you still do the yo thing?
Yeah.
You can use that to like what are they called? The sligs, I think. The baddies.
Sligs. That sounds right.
Those kind of like
the
yellow robotic
guns,
dudes,
right?
Yeah, they sound the same, they look the same. It's all in 3D obviously now, but yeah, it's basically it's a puzzle platformer, but probably with the emphasis on puzzle more than platforming.
Yes,
where you have these areas that you're trying to get through. You're basically just trying to progress, and there are a bunch of different systems. There are enemies that you have to. There's a lot of stealth in this game. There's a lot of like interacting, like there are ways in which you can sort of almost, what was that game? Sleepwalker? Is that what it was called? Do you remember the one where you were a dog and you were like, there was a guy sleepwalking and you were trying to get him through? Kind of like that with...
like you're okay, because you're kind of like leading these other guys around, and they can get killed if you don't get them to the exit appropriately. So there's kind of a...
So I haven't come across any of those yet, but what I have come across is an area where there are hundreds of Mudokons running, and those robot slig dudes are shooting them, and you have to basically like kill the sligs the first time I did it, I think 80 Mudokons died, but I saved 120. The cutscenes are like unbelievably well produced. Like the story is as sort of like, they're not particularly smart. They're kind of like a oppressed underclass, which has been restricted by this. It's like all monopolies and capitalism and stuff. It's right on the nose. But the cutscenes are. I've been really enjoying it. The voice acting is as silly and sounds as weird as it did. But I'd say the one mechanical difference, which they didn't really have in the original, as far as I know, is there's a bunch of like fire and water stuff in this, like fluid dynamics, where you can start fires and fire propagates, and you can trap dudes. You're collecting a lot of water and a lot of, I guess it's like the slurm of this world, whatever it is. I think it's called Soulstorm Brew, actually.
Yes, okay, and that's being made from.
I don't know
the
if
big reveal in the first game, I think, isn't it?
Right.
So if this is taking place after that, I guess that's not a spoiler, but like they're.
I don't know
a Soylent Green sort of thing, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. They seem to be drinking it a lot. So
they do actually at the start of the game.
Okay.
Have you played it too?
Yeah, just the intro, I guess, where you're like escaping from the fire and stuff. Yeah.
So that level is a bit more running and a bit less stopping for puzzles. And I think what they've done well in this one is there's a good degree. The pacing is pretty good in this. Like there's parts where you're kind of running, doing a little bit leaping and jumping, and then there's parts where it does slow down a lot. The biomes change a bunch. You sometimes go into like caves in the background, and it has this like really cool, like the first game was a straight up 2D like game, right? 2D plane, like a bit of parallax scrolling going on maybe. So it gave you that depth, the size of it. The scale in this feels so cool. It's like a big ant hill or something. Where you're obviously taking place on the front, but kind of like the Trials games, where the camera bends with, it's not flash like Sonic, where it bends. That stuff is so cool because you sometimes see where you're going later on the level and it's miles away, but you can start to see it. So I think they've done a fantastic job of letting you know how long the level is, messing up the pacing a bit. The checkpointing feels very PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, where like sometimes you're like, you get killed and you're like, oh, you're sending me back there, really? And there's a couple of like weird little quality of life problems. Like if you find a hidden zone when you've gotten past the checkpoint and then you die and go back to the checkpoint, you have to re-find that hidden zone. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Whereas
right. Yeah.
little things that sort of, I feel like games have shaved off the edges a bit. But it's cool. I'm like genuinely really enjoying playing it. Like, I'm looking forward to playing some more this afternoon. I think so far it's constantly changed as well. There's been interesting new levels, and they start the game off with a sort of a 24 hours earlier type thing. So I think they've done a great job of actually giving you a reason to keep playing with the story. In a way that I think that first game sort of struggled with a bit. You were just sort of playing levels and there was no motivation really,
Yeah, I mean, it has a story for sure, but it is a lot of just like, hey, get these guys to safety and keep doing it. Like I fell off that first game pretty hard, and they put out a second one that was like very much just like that game, like mechanically similar, even though they were always talking about their like big 5-part trilogy. So, but maybe this is maybe you could think of this as more of a follow up to that like new and tasty reboot of the first game or something like that. Maybe that's kind of the progression they're on now. I don't know, but that's cool. That's awesome to hear that it seems to have come out. It's like that game feels like it's been in development forever. And part of me was like, that game's never going to make it out. They're never going to actually put it out. So it's like, A, surprising it came out at all. B, it sounds like it's pretty good. So that's cool. All right.
Yeah, I think, if you like that game or not, if you play the original. But like you, I never... Yeah. I feel like a lot of people played that first game. Not a lot of people finished it, and I think this has a much better. I think this game, they knew that going into it, because it's doing a way better job of feeding wanting me to play more of it.
That's cool. That's there. I think that ended up being one of my big problems with that first game, is it does just kind of just go and gets pretty repetitive. But all right, we're gonna take a break, and then we'll come back with some news. How about that? Sound good?
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it. No matter where your adventures take you this spring, you can bring the comfort and style of Mack Weldon along for the ride. Your closet will thank you. Whether it's hoodies, polos, tees, or active shorts, everything in the Mack Weldon collection mixes and matches seamlessly to fit in with any other trendy products you have. You got the Ace sweatpants, the Vesper polo. You got these you got silver in the shirts to keep it fresh. All this other stuff. They got socks, shirts, hoodies, underwears, polos, active shorts. They promise comfort and a consistent fit over at Mack Weldon. And hey, Mack Weldon is for everyday life. What are you doing? Were you working out? You going out? You staying home? You sitting down? You going to work? You on a date? Mack Weldon is there for you, with a wide range of customized fabrics that can keep up with you no matter what your day looks like. And they've got a totally free loyalty program. Level 1 gets you free shipping for life. And once you reach level 2 by spending $200, you'll get 20% off every order for the next year. And it's guaranteed. Mack Weldon wants you to be comfortable, so if you don't like your first pair of underwear, you can keep them. And they'll still refund you, no questions asked. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com/bomb and enter the promo code BOMB. That's MackWeldon.com/bomb, promo code BOMB for 20% off. Mack Weldon, reinventing men's basics. Let's turn some dreams into reality right now with Squarespace. You and I together with Squarespace. Because Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project. What are you trying to do? What are you passionate about? You starting a new business? You showcasing some work? You publishing stuff? Selling stuff? Squarespace is the tool for you, no matter which of these you're doing. They've got beautiful templates created by world-class designers and the ability to customize just about anything with only a few clicks, so you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. It's all optimized for mobile right out of the box. There's nothing to patch or upgrade ever. They'll even help you buy a domain. And if you run into any other issues, they've got 24/7 award-winning customer support. Squarespace empowers millions of people. Designers, lawyers, artists, restaurants. That's not a gym. Restaurants and gyms are still gyms. Jim. They will help Jim Jim maybe owns a restaurant or a gymnasium. I don't know. They will help Jim, and they will help you to turn great ideas into something real. Head to squarespace.com/bombcast for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/bombcast. And the offer code, it's BOMBCAST. All right, we are back. And now it is time for the news. That's right.
Sweeping, grandiose music. Oh, it gets me every time. Inform me, Jeff Gersman.
Breaking news at this hour. E3 is back. It's a new okay.
It's a new experience.
So let's see. There's a few stories here kind of wrapped up into this. There had been some stuff going around last week around the notion of E3, which is a digital event this year. Mm-hmm. But there's some stuff floated around last week, kind of starting to claim that maybe some parts of the presentation would be behind a paywall. And that they would be going and asking people for, something in the neighborhood of like $35 to get access to E3, whether that was like a premium tier that would get you like, hey, streaming access to some demo builds or whatever. I mean, the hows and whys around that were not necessarily made clear. The ESA did come out a little bit after that and say like, nah, we're not putting any element of the show behind a paywall or what I'm trying to look at the Video Games Chronicle story here. The quote they were given by the ESA is, "I can confirm on behalf of the ESA that there will be no elements at E3 2021 that will be behind a paid-for pass or paywall," which is pretty definitive. No elements. Yep. I thought maybe that you could still have some wiggle room. I'll say like, oh well, we've got a different tier of service or something like that, but that doesn't seem to be the case. And then this morning they went ahead and made the announcement of E3. They've changed the name of it slightly from the Electronic Entertainment Expo to the Electronic Entertainment Experience.
Ooh.
And
is that it from now on? Are we done with Expo?
Expo
is a very old ass word anyway.
It really is. Come out to the World's Fair. We've got the video games. So I'm going to say no, because they put out a press release this morning with some additional details. And at the bottom of that, it says, the ESA looks forward to coming back together to celebrate E3 2022 in person. In the meantime, see you online this June. And they have staked out some dates and given some... okay, so here the press release is like, this is what it is, but also part of this sounds grim. There's some phrasing in here that you look at and go like, how long have you been trying to get this together before you could make this announcement? And did you have to make this announcement on the backs of people who are like, wait, people think we're going to make them pay? Anyway, okay, sorry. It's game on for E3 as the Entertainment Software Association officially unveils plans for a reimagined all-virtual E3 2021 that will engage video game fans everywhere.
Ooh, engage me.
And yes, get ready to get engaged and perhaps activated with early commitments from Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and Koch Media, and more to come. E3 2021 will take place June 12th through the 15th. That goes across a weekend. That's not. Yeah, that includes a Saturday. I believe the 12th is a Saturday. So 12th, that's 4 days.
I guess is that how it was in recent years? Because the whole Bethesda thing would start on a Saturday before the show.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, yeah. If you're taking press conference style things into account, the people at home watching streams, it was more than a 3-day thing. Right. Whereas I think if you're attending it, you think of it as like, well, the show is 3 days, but there's a bunch of shit before the show that we're going to, and that's where all the real action happens anyway. And then we get to the show floor and go like, oh, let's go get some free energy sodas.
Some free powders in the bathroom.
That's right.
Energy powder.
The bathroom powder is never free. Let's go film some videos in the bathroom. I think that's what you do at E3 now. So yeah, developers will be showcasing their latest news and games directly to fans around the world. The ESA will be working with media partners globally to help amplify and make this content available to everyone for free. I like the idea that that
these ads
working
are free,
with
Jeff.
media partners is what makes it free. Yeah, right. Yes, these ads are free. But so they must have, if they did think about charging, then they must have been looking at something like BlizzCon, right? Because BlizzCon has done a paid for streaming pass. Like you could get it on DirecTV, but you were getting in-game stuff for all of Blizzard's games, like skins and mounts and other crap like that. So that was why anyone would go pay money for that, because they were like, because I'm going to go flip this 2 years later for way more money or whatever. And so I assume they must have looked at something like that and thought like, maybe we could do a tier of it. And no. But yes, like E3 is meant to be a marketing. It's ads for games being broadcast. Like that's why publishers pay to be a part of it, because they are the ones that should foot that bill, not the end consumer.
Right.
It's weird. I can imagine a world in which they did something like, I don't know, like interviews or panels, I guess would be a better word for it, like something additive. But the problem is, I think that it's easier to do that around a game or a product. E3 is like it's no one community. Like, who's the community for this? I guess it's people like us. Like I definitely would have signed up if there was like a $30 thing for some extra panels, like sort of GDC, the way they ran GDC last year in the summer thing. But it's just a bit messy when the focus of the whole thing is just showing off games anyway. I don't think it would have had to have been a very smart solution.
Right. It's such a broad consumer facing event that even how deep are those panels going to go? Are those panels just going to be or point being, are those panels things that any publisher could run themselves on Twitch for free instead of paying the ESA a F ton of money to get an hour of time on whatever their stage ends up being? I think that's the push and pull around this. Obviously Jeff Keighley's out there saying that his summer game thing fest is the other that will return in some form as well. So I assume that will also encompass events that take place outside of this time frame. And so this seems like it is last year needed to be more organized. I think that's the thing coming out of the streams and other stuff that happened last summer, is that stuff was all over the place and was a dumb mess. This seems like it will create some kind of focal point, but there are other people out there also trying to create their own focal points. And is this a non-exclusive thing? So will you have some games show up in both places? Are teams going to have to carve up their demo into two pieces to have one for the E3 show and then one for the separate thing they're doing in July? This still feels like it has the potential to be a real, I was going to say disaster, that's extreme, but a train wreck of sorts in terms of scheduling and all the different events and everything that may happen.
It could be messy, in a different way to the way last year was, because at least last year there was no one big beat. It was just kind of a lot of little ones. Whereas this could. Was Microsoft mentioned on the press release? So that
with early commitments from. I would assume that Bethesda's stuff is going to come through the Xbox brand nowadays. But they did, I don't know, they did retain, I think the PR team of Bethesda is still intact. I don't think they necessarily said, hey, we're going to move on. Right. Yeah. Well, there you go. So I they do still have some autonomy there, I guess. I don't know what the working or how they will make that work long term. Yeah, so the list again is Nintendo, Xbox, Capcom, Konami, Ubisoft, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, and media.
No Embracer Group?
No, not yet. Not on this early press release.
And then who's the other big one? I mean, Sony, but Sony pulled out years ago. EA, they pulled out 2 years ago as well.
Right, yeah, they've been out for a while. Activision has had a booth in recent years. Who's left that hasn't been consolidated together, right? That's the Sega. The Sega Atlas conglomerate is not listed here.
Devolver. Probably
Devolver
will do their own thing again.
They're going to have a live stream across the street with really good barbecue. It's going to be great.
Did they do that expo on Steam last year? Is that how they did it? They did their video game. You downloaded. That was cool.
Yeah. Was that last year or that was the year before? That was the year that they actually have an E3 booth even.
Wow.
I think.
I can't remember. Yeah, it's all a blur.
Yeah, so it's, a lot of companies still kind of not necessarily mentioned here, but like, anyone can run a live stream. So it's kind of like, yeah, are you going to pay the ESA's prices? Or are you just going to get on Twitch and do something?
Yeah, because what's to stop companies from just, now that they see this time frame, putting their stuff a couple days before or a couple days afterwards?
Or during.
Or during, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, I don't know if I would want to counter program. I mean, like what this needs, and I think what Jeff Keighley was trying to do, what he has often tried to do with stuff like this is to play traffic cop and try to say like, hey, because there are some cases where, like, for competitive reasons, a publisher might not want the other publishers to know who is going, but at least you've got someone in there. Like, maybe don't schedule an event for Tuesday at 3:00. There's already someone there, or like, hey, maybe don't do this. I don't know how his process works or how that process works fully, but like someone that can sit in the middle of all this and say, don't run your live stream. Someone else is running a live stream here. This spot is open. There's someone who can just man a calendar and say, hey, put it here. That is probably what this needs. And to have that stuff be a little more tightly packed than it was last year, where it was like, 2 weeks later, we're going to have another thing, or, and at the beginning of that, remember, like, Microsoft was out there saying like, we're going to do these monthly shows. And then they're like, we are not going to do monthly shows. And it's, that stuff was a mess. This still sounds like a mess. There's some additional information on the E3 website in the form of a PDF. They have a one sheet for media. So the other part of this is the broadcast, which they bill as virtual streams and announcements available online through all major video platforms, as well as through the portal and supporting mobile app. Yeah, download the E3 app. That's something someone's going to do. And that's the 12th through the 15th. The 7th through the 11th are listed as pre-E3 media days.
Pre-3.
Yeah, and that's a full week. That's a Monday through a Friday. And so I imagine part of that is like, hey, you're going to get some outlets in there to check out some games, whether that's streaming demos or watching presentations or something like that, get your coverage pre-written and then have it ready for some embargo time or something, I'm guessing. So that's a long stretch of time, the 7th through the 15th. And yeah,
a lot of remote demos, that type of thing. Like
I imagine a lot of remote demos. They don't get specific about what that actually entails. But
I guess it would take longer, right? Because like it's not like just 20 people come in a room. We've pre-set up all these PCs. It's a lot of like one-on-one shepherding somebody through the process of connecting to the thing, and it probably just maybe that's why it's longer. It's got to take them longer to do it.
Yeah, you're probably right. I feel like the streaming demos that we've done have always taken longer than the time slot that we were booked for, like over the past year of just like doing this stuff remotely, of like getting, and then someone's always like, okay, now you got to set Parsec to do this, and then and it's just never quite as smooth as it feels like it probably could be. They've got a list of bullet points here on this one sheet as well of things that E3 will feature: exclusive online portal and supporting mobile app. Major exhibitor showcases. Yeah, I love a nice portal. Love an online portal. Live press conferences. Unexpected reveals. headlining announcements, which would be an unexpected reveal, and headlining announcements to me are pretty similar. Industry insider moments.
Oh, cool. Moments. What's that?
I love an industry insider moment. What is an industry insider moment? To me, that's like you ran into someone at the JW bar and they told you 5 things you are not supposed to know about a game coming out 4 years from now. Like that to me is an industry insider moment. So I don't know that that's...
Oh, look, it's that YouTuber getting sick because they drank too much.
Yeah, right. Yes.
All that good stuff.
You saw Tony Hawk standing there and he was eating a sandwich. That's an industry insider moment. Of you were in the back of the Activision booth and you saw someone eating some food.
I'm at Cisco outside the GameSpot war room, and he knew who I was. That was maybe the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me.
Or you saw Cisco at E3.
I did, and I said, "Hey, what's up, the dragon? Tell me about." I don't know any other song but the Thong Song. I don't know. I wasn't. Drew Hill weren't very big in Europe. I'm sorry. Love your work.
That's how it goes. Charitable initiatives and exclusive media opportunities. Yeah, so it's I'm trying to like see if there's any other like tidbits of information in this media one sheet to see if there's just anything here. The digitally reimagined E3 2021 will recapture the magic of the past 20 plus years while creating an innovative interactive online experience that will pave the way for more in 2022 and beyond, which is expected to encompass a full 360-degree interactive digital and offline event. So that to me sounds like they are thinking that like whatever the consumer experience from home is going forward, this year will inform that, which makes sense. I don't know.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. There's an E3 happening. I don't care. I just need it. I don't care if it's some digital stupid. Maybe that's even better. Maybe this is the ultimate stupid version of E3. This is where it's all been leading this whole time.
Right. Is this going to be like, Warner Brothers puts on a press conference and like LeBron James walks out and says, "Here's Injustice 3." Or like what is, yeah. I feel like there's, I feel like there's just a really high opportunity for those sorts of really kind of like trashy not the, but like those sorts of moments of just like, I can't believe they did this. It's just going to be like 5 days of Jamie Kennedy. I don't know.
Is it weird that I'm surprised it's completely digital? For some reason in my head, I thought they would try and do something public or have something for people to go to.
I think they probably just ran into having to make these decisions at a time when the realities around the pandemic weren't known. And so if they were probably making these decisions right now, they could almost do like a wrestling thing about like, we're going to have some pods here and you can watch this in person and maybe try to do something like that. But like, is that something, are you going to go in the wall, sit in the pod from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. or, whatever it ends up being?
Someone would do it.
To watch live streams.
I bet it would have been really tricky for them to get companies to sign on board if there was the possibility that they would have had to send their people to do something, right? Like, I think that maybe that's part
I don't
of the
know that
negotiating
that's
thing.
not the case. I don't know where they landed on that sort of stuff, but like they may very well have a HQ where some of this stuff emanates from. I don't actually know for sure. But like, because I feel like if they're trying to offer value for whatever money you're paying them, that this would be kind of a turnkey solution. Show up with your games, do your thing. Whereas if you, the company, have to produce the entire video, then there's an additional level of like, why are we paying these people to run our video? They're going to push play on a tape, and then we're going to give them 6 figures. Like, what is that? So I would expect that there's a little bit more to it than that. But again, I don't know where that stuff ended up. So it could be anything at this point. That's E3. I'm just excited to see what game news looks like in a big chunk, because like it just feels like nothing. All the news so far this year has been, hey, guess what game got delayed out of this year? And I want to see what the rest of this year ends up looking like, because that'll be the time to announce the rest of the delays if they haven't gotten to it by then. And
imagine a stage show just full of delays. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
They announce the game and they delay it right away.
It's just this big stage show of like people pushing big crates across a stage slowly, and every crate just has a different game name on it, and it's just like 2022 ? And everyone just pushes the game out of the release window, and then while music is played, and then LeBron James comes out and says,
Space Jam,
Lego Star Wars, Skywalker Saga. It's been delayed again. I know we just delayed it, but we're delaying it again. Thank you for coming.
We're adding me into this.
That's right, because we're putting me into the Star Wars. I'm now in Lego Star Wars. Anyway,
Star Wars and Space Jam. The Clockwork Orange guys are in Space Jam, so I feel like Star Wars should be in Space Jam then.
I think that's probably a little too close, because I think that's not a Warner property. Warner just does the Lego games for whatever that. Remember, they were still doing Lego Star Wars games, even though Disney Infinity was coming out. That was weird. Anyway, what else is going on? Hey, baseball, it's back, and it's on Xbox.
$10 tickets to Oracle Park, folks.
Can I get?
Astros have ruined my week.
Still get garlic
really?
fries.
Yeah, I have not seen any actual baseball in a very long time.
Rough week in the Coliseum.
Oh yeah,
that team can score some runs.
Don't they?
The banging of somebody banging a trash can.
Turns out. Did they record the sound effect and at least play that noise? Just to, aren't they vaccinating people in the parking lot of the Coliseum?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah, and people are there wearing masks. Kind of. Some of them are kind of wearing masks. Some of them maybe were, but now they're having a beer, some Gilroy garlic fries, so they're not so much wearing the mask anymore. All right. But yeah, it seems like a decent amount of people there. There was loads of people in Dodger Stadium when I saw the game yesterday. So yeah,
right. And they have been vaccinating people at the Dodgers Stadium parking lot for a very long time.
Right.
So
is that a prerequisite? Is that how you get your vaccine these days?
Yeah. Right.
Go to season ticket.
Yes, if you're still an A's fan, we love you and we want you to stick. We need you to stick around.
Hey Jeff. Do you know how much a corporate box in the Oakland Coliseum is this year?
I'm going to say
1 Bitcoin.
What the fuck? What? That's A, fuck you. A, fuck that. B, that's way too much money.
It's like 65 grand, I think.
Yeah, that's a stupid amount of money for
1 Bitcoin
this year of Oh, well, it's only one. Okay, yeah. So you just wait for Bitcoin to crash, and then on a low you go buy your box, right? Like that's the. All right. Actual baseball news. MLB The Show. Sony's from PlayStation Studios, the people that brought you 989 Sports. This game's coming to Xbox. That's been known for a while that this would be the year that Sony's baseball franchise would be coming to other platforms. I believe it's also coming to Switch. But the news is that it will be a day one game for Xbox Game Pass.
Ouch.
It is yes. Oh, so it is not a PlayStation Plus game. It is not on PlayStation Now as of this recording. But if you have an Xbox and you have Game Pass, you can play the baseball game, the only baseball game, for $0 additional dollars. It's fucking crazy. Is what that is.
Show and tell.
What a play. In retrospect, this is genius. This is exactly, we should have known this is what they were going to do. This is just
right. Well, and like I'm like the behind the scenes wrangling. So this is going to be weird because it's going to be an Xbox game shipping with a PlayStation logo on the box, like that PlayStation Studios logo is on the front cover from the looks of it, and that's really wild. But the idea that Microsoft has, I imagine, opened a wallet or two to make this happen on Game Pass is pretty crazy. And if you go look at the Xbox.com site and look at the game page for this game, it looks like MLB is handling the publishing for this on Xbox, as opposed to Sony becoming a licensed publisher for Xbox. Maybe they are just a licensed developer, which is another weird wrinkle in this, perhaps. I don't know. I feel like there has to be some kind of crazy story here, and I like, why would this not also be on PlayStation Plus? Like, I feel like the PlayStation brand, this makes them look real dumb.
Yeah.
This makes their services look real empty. If this is happening, we're like, oh, if you're over here on this platform, you can just play it, or you can spend $70 on it over here. I assume it's 70, like all the other first party stuff on PS5 has been so far. This is really crazy, and I wonder if this will pay off for Microsoft in terms of like actual people signing up for Game Pass or doing all this other stuff. There's some quotes going around, I guess, from Sony claiming that this was an MLB decision,
right?
To do the Game Pass deal and not a Sony decision. So what does that mean for the partnership between MLB and Sony? If they're like, fuck you guys, we're going over here and we're putting it out over here, and then they didn't do the same deal on the other side, or at least haven't yet, like maybe this changes between now and the 20th, and they'll be like, oh, by the way, it's going to be on PS Plus or I guess PlayStation Now or something like that. But
what was the nature of the deal in the first place? Because I knew they were developing it, but I assumed it was some sort of exclusivity thing. That seemed to be the basis of it. But like this is the exact opposite of an exclusivity deal, almost.
Right.
It's like everyone who's on Game Pass, which I assume is a fairly substantial amount of people who own Xboxes at this stage. Like it continues to be like a stupidly good deal. Like the Bethesda stuff last month was bananas, right? And they added in all the support for the new consoles, but yeah, for people, especially folks who like, this is one of those games people play forever. You know what I mean? They'll play all year. Like certain people, like the NBA games as well. It's so crazy. So what's the nature of the deal with Sony at all if they can pull this off? And then presumably they're the ones getting paid by Microsoft, not Sony, for the whole the Game Pass deal.
Yeah, I mean, if MLB is listed as the publisher, then I would assume that this is their deal and that they would take the money for that. And maybe some of it kicks to Sony in Sony's direction, but maybe it doesn't. Like we just don't know. But like I feel like that's gotta I feel like bare minimum I would look at this and say like, oh, this is like whenever this deal is up between MLB and Sony, it is not going to get renewed. If this is the current state of affairs where deals like this are occurring, then that to me says MLB is not happy with Sony in some weird way, shape, or form. Because it was always weird that any sports game became exclusive to a console like this.
Mm-hmm.
The people who locked up exclusive rights. Right, exactly.
There was no other competitor baseball game, right?
Yeah, and 2K had the bigs for a while, and there were like some arcade style baseball games that were still kind of coming out here and there, whether it was on mobile or whatever. But like also MLB also publishes RBI Baseball. Like they are already publishing another baseball game cross platform, and developing it, I believe, which is weird. This is a really crazy one. But also, I guess, like, if you're Sony, are you like, whatever, people who play our game already bought a PlayStation because they were expecting it to come out here, so maybe it doesn't affect them in the way that you might think, because baseball players already knew, hey, I need to go get a PlayStation so I can play my baseball game. And maybe this is all just kind of new money coming in, that then next year, if this doesn't come to Game Pass, then maybe they are able to, well, whatever, MLB is going to force this game onto all platforms, going forward, I would assume. But
if there are hardware shortages, right, and all those people maybe who didn't immediately jump onto a PlayStation 5, does that change the conversation for them? Where they're like, oh, wait, I'll get it for free if I get a new Xbox instead. Also, my Best Buy has those,
Right.
or maybe has a better chance of having them on the shelves for a little while. Like, does that change the conversation there?
Yeah, it could. It could for sure. But I also would assume that like next year, Microsoft probably doesn't do this deal to the maybe they do, but you know, if it works out really well for them. But this is a splashy thing to do right here, right now. But you have to wonder, how long is it going to be on Game Pass? I don't think they announced an end date per se. And sometimes they do announce an end date. For this one, they have not. Looking at the announcement.
I also wonder how much these games sell, because unlike a lot of sports games, I don't think this gets, maybe there's a market for it in Japan, I don't know, but like Europeans don't really watch baseball. Europeans watch some American football, so I'm sure the Madden games do okay, but like it's not like FIFA, right, where it's like this global sports thing.
Yeah, so. Totally. It is, yeah. I mean, is baseball smaller than hockey at this point?
Yeah,
like I don't actually know.
Eastern Europe, right? So
right, exactly. So on just a pure worldwide basis, then yeah. But yeah, it's
Latin America, presumably they're into it.
Perhaps, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Sure, that would make some sense.
What if the last wrinkle in this story is that the Xbox version ends up being totally busted?
Right. Yeah. It's like, here you go, fellas. Whoops. That would be pretty amazing. I don't know. I think I thought it was cool when they announced that, hey, this is coming to multiple platforms, because it always felt weird that a sports game was exclusive to one console, and then this is just a weirder, just a weirder wrinkle in the story. Exciting when weird stuff like that happens.
Yeah, it was weird before the Game Pass thing. Now it's just hyper weird.
Yeah. Someone's out there saying that Alan Wake 2 is happening.
Someone.
This Jeff Grubb guy.
Oh, that guy.
He's a what do they refer to him as? Serial leaker or something?
Yeah. Serial leaker. I've seen Gaming Insider. This Video Games Chronicle article refers to him as Games Beat reporter, which is the actual, he is a reporter for GamesBeat, and I guess on a Twitch stream he claimed that this seems so weird. We should just ask him directly. That Epic has done a deal with Remedy to make Alan Wake 2 happen, and that there was a bidding war, but So I don't know. Alan Wake 2 seems like something, Remedy kind of went and made sure it got all of its IP and all that other stuff and got back what it could. And this seemed like something that would happen sooner or later.
I'd say that Play Control made me.
Yeah.
It got me more interested in the Alan Wake universe for sure. Like I wasn't really too into those games to begin with, but Playing Control and just seeing what they can do with story and environments and stuff make me want to either go back and check this out, or I'll definitely keep my eyes open for Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I could not get into that first game at all. And I thought it was cool that they did some Alan Wake stuff in Control to kind of tie their universe together and all of that. And I think at that point, that was the point where people went like, wait, they're going to try and do this, aren't they? So it makes sense that they would be able to follow through because fuck, man, on the back of Control, I would let Remedy probably do whatever. It's like, yeah, right. Get on a roll here. Let's make it happen.
I think before Playing Control, I would have thought it was a bit of a stretch for them to do another Alan Wake, but like having played it, it seems like you don't touch that hornet's nest unless you're planning to do something with it. I feel like, even if it's just light touches. So that'd be cool. Right. I think also they've learned a lot about how to make those games. Like Control's better, no pun intended, than anything they've ever done before. Like the combat's better, systems are much more interesting for combat. The story stuff's still there, but it's not so much of the carrot on the stick that it was in so many of their games. So totally.
I think they've found really good ways to integrate storytelling into a video game.
Right.
And that's great. They should do that. Also, what they should do over at Respawn is they should put more Titanfall stuff in Apex Legends. And word on the street, everything. Yes, put more Titanfall stuff into everything. That's the actual request.
Can I start the level with the robot friend throwing me in?
Instead of jumping out of something, everyone just starts with their own BT and they just fucking javelin them into the level. Man, they should have done that.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, that's actually,
or that's how you respawn. Good. You fall in a BT and then the BT just breaks. But you're back.
Yeah. Whoops. Well, I got you in here, but I'm all messed up. So let's see here. This happened during a panel at Brown Girl Gamer Code. The senior writer of Apex, Ashley Reed, says that in Season 9, they're looking to integrate Titanfall into future updates, and Titanfall is very much a part of the universe, are the quotes in this Eurogamer story. And then the director of the game, Chad Grenier, went a little further and said that Apex would host some really cool stuff we might recognize from Respawn's critically acclaimed shooter series. Next season, in Season 9, you're actually going to see a ton of Titanfall coming back into the game in one way or another. No specifics as to what that actually means. But that's cool. It always seemed like that was something that they were going to get to if this game was a success. I think even just out of the gate, there was definitely an aspect of like, hey, yeah, I mean, this is set in the Titanfall universe, but it's, you know, we want to make this game successful on its own, and not necessarily be super beholden to all of the movement and Titans and all the stuff from that game. But there was always that hint that was like, we have some ideas about how we might get there someday, and I wonder what that entails. Do you think they put Titans into Apex Legends in a meaningful way?
In a meaningful way?
Like, hey, you got Titans, you're in a Titan, you're doing Titan shit. Like I
don't think it ever gets to that point. I think if anything, yeah, there'll be background things in a map, and there'll be little charms. I think they'll recreate maps, maybe. But as far as like getting into a Titan, controlling it, shooting people, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I could see maybe like a limited time mode where you've got like one Titan on the map and you got to find a key card and do a thing. And there's a thing in Call of Duty right now that is like you get some crazy bombardment thing, but it's like a 3-step process of get card, go here, open this, do this, and then you can get this really powerful thing. Like I could see some kind of like, hey, we've got a vault here in the middle of this map, and there's a Titan in there, but you got to do a bunch of crazy shit in the middle of a match to get it. Like that, that would be PUBG my guess.
Something like that too, with like a weird little helicopter thing. I wonder if some of this is just even because, like, I forgot that there was any thematic connection between Apex and Titanfall.
Oh yeah,
like I wonder if this is just even a way of like starting to like activate that fan base about Titanfall, like just have them thinking about it, because like there is so much, dude. You go into have you been to Respawn Studio? Well, I mean, who's been anywhere now? Not. But like, so it is like they are as big of fans of Titanfall 2 as fans of Titanfall 2 are. Like they know that game is fucking awesome. Like Titanfall 2 is like the best FPS to come out, and you know, maybe none has come out as good since, right? And they are aware of that, and I think they're also aware of the fact that like that game deserved to have a bigger audience. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, Vince Ampella's dark long-term plan is to get all this fed into a new Titanfall game.
Right. You got Zampella kind of ascending within the EA organization to where he can be the one that green lights it and be like, yeah, no, yeah, you guys should do that. Anyway, yes, absolutely. You're right. It does make sense to kind of, if you are going to eventually get back to Titanfall, you start to get people excited. Like the much larger audience now that Apex has found, now you can kind of turn them on to the Titanfall stuff a little bit here and there to potentially get them excited for that thing when and if that comes to fruition. Like, yeah totally.
Before they were trying to get Call of Duty players to play like a robot game, which was kind of a bit of a thematic leap, right? And also that first game was different because it was, you know, the didn't have single player. It was kind of trying to do
Right.
both and had a foot in each pond. Whereas I feel like that's an easier transition now, given where Call of Duty is, and also given the fact that they have a big player base in Apex already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. When you think about Titanfall 1, like, I think a lot of the stuff that that was a really small team for what they were trying to accomplish back at that point. Right. So like, it made sense at the time for them to be like, hey, we're kind of going to try to do some storytelling within this multiplayer game. I think that was I feel like they were largely successful at doing that, but it's not a dedicated campaign, especially when you go and look at just how good the Titanfall 2 campaign is. Like, god damn.
I gotta go play that right now.
Yeah, I still have it installed. I think I still have it installed on every piece of equipment that could have it installed. Like, it's on this PS5, it's on this Xbox Series X, it's on this PC. Like, it is Titanfall 2 is ready to go.
They should do it. Maybe that's the signal. If they do a PS5, Xbox Series X do-over of it, just give it a little patch, because that'd be any excuse just to go back and play those levels.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So yeah, I hope they do that. But yeah, it probably doesn't make sense to put a Titan into Apex Legends. It probably doesn't. Well, like, that game doesn't have wall running either, do you do a map and you're like, this is a weird low gravity space map and it's got wall running? Isn't that funny? Like, could you get into some new gameplay that way? Or like, hey, you've got an armor slot for your boots, and if you get the anti-grav or the magnetic boots, then all of these metallic walls, you could maybe run on some of them, and just kind of do that. But I don't know, maybe it's not a gameplay thing. Maybe it literally is just like, hey, we put in some of the characters and like factions. Like, remember, like the Titanfall 2, they eventually got to all these different factions or companies that would get hinted at in the background with like different Titan unlocks and stuff, like was it like Vincent Industries and all this other, like, they just had a ton of different fun little companies and things. So maybe it's just like that sort of referential stuff, and it'll be, like you said, skins and charms and all that. But I hope it's more than that, and I hope they eventually get to do the thing. That was the whole thing. Like Respawn has expanded quite a bit, and they're hiring a bunch of positions right now, and for Apex, and they've got other teams doing other stuff, and so yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they get back there. That would be cool. Virtua Fighter.
Oh baby.
That's it. That's the news. Just Virtua Fighter. No, they put out a teaser last year or something and it just said like Virtua Fighter esports. Anyway, see you later. It was like there was just not much to it. Korea's rating board has rated something called Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown for PlayStation 4, and there is on that rating.
No, it was Final Showdown that it was called before.
Yes,
like,
Final Showdown was the
name,
thing.
right?
Yeah, no, this is a new thing, and there is a field on this form if you are on the Korean site where they do just straight up write Virtua Fighter esports in there. So this seems to be whatever that project they were teasing may potentially just be a new version of VF5. I'll take it.
I'll take it too. But that game's 10 years old,
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy to think about that they're making their foray into esports with this title. That's probably the best that they've got. Yeah, it's weird to see it not being, led with a brand new game. That's crazy.
Right. Well, so Sega also has some history with the name of just slapping the word esports on the end of a game, because they put out Puyo Puyo Esports.
Oh, did they?
Which came out as Puyo Puyo Champions in other regions, and this was them trying to make a competitive. They stab at a competitive, which the game is already competitive, but like, yes, they have tried to just put the word esports on the end of a game name and put it back out there with Puyo Puyo. So it's not entirely unheard of. But I don't know, like, I would love to be able to play VF5 with like quality online. And maybe, I don't know if
That's
Ultimate Showdown
thing,
means they do another pass and maybe throw some more costumes in or even a character or two. But I just don't think I don't know that they touch the gameplay.
that'd be fine.
Do they have it? Do they have a team that would feel comfortable touching the gameplay, or do they just stick to what Final Showdown was, or whatever the last VF5 was?
Yeah, I think they stick to what the core is right now. But I think it really needs an online pass if it's going to be passable in today's market. God damn. We're seeing so much success with GGPO projects, rollback netcode, and especially if you're going to be trying to entice people to play this as an esport, you got to go back and fix that stuff.
Yes, they need better netcode than they have had in the past, for sure. And God, I would love for them to put this out, have it do well, and then for that to potentially lead to a new Virtua Fighter game someday. That would be just wonderful. But the ability to play VF5 without having to load up Yakuza first would be cool too.
True.
So,
is the full game in there?
It is. It's the full arcade. Yes, it's the arcade version.
Terrific.
Normally when they do home ports of Virtua Fighter, they'll throw in just a few additional modes and stuff here and there, or like a good training mode and stuff. They've had really good training modes over the years. Not a ton more of news here. The Analog Pocket, that FPGA based portable platform, has been delayed.
Boo.
It is,
but understandable. The shipping things.
Yeah, they've cited the chip shortage and all that sort of stuff. Polygon's got a story on it, and they are basically pushing to October. And originally it was due out in May. So there's that. This thing sounds. So what is it? This is built to play the Game Boy family of consoles out of the gate, but they are going to do cartridge adapters that will let it play Neo Geo Pocket Color, Lynx games, and Game Gear games. And presumably, like the other analog devices, I would expect that like custom firmware will just magically appear around the time of launch that will let you do some other stuff, maybe without putting cartridges into it, which is a must for me. I'm not looking to dig all my Lynx games out of the garage.
Right.
But also I can play the Lynx on a Mister now, and I don't necessarily need a portable, so I don't know that.
But it's a pretty sweet looking portable.
It is a very nice looking. It also has there's a dock, there's an optional dock if you want to play that on a TV. And they have a second FPGA in there that they are looking for some developer support if developers want to make additional cores. This seems like something where they might be looking to have people that have made cores for the Mister or something like that, and maybe port some of those over. But I don't know the specs on how readily, how easy that would be to port that work over based on the specs of the two devices. So hard to know.
Hey, what was the name of that other one with the crank? Did that come out?
The play date that has not come out.
Play date.
Okay.
Yeah, the play date.
Crank shortage.
Yes, yeah. Though there's a real crank shortage. People are falling asleep left and right. We got to get some better stuff in here. Play date handheld. I'm looking this up. This is Panic's Panic. The FTP client people. Yes. This is, I think it just has a generic 2021 release date right now. Cool. But yeah, we've not heard anything out of them, I think, in a little bit. This is something I've been looking at more and more as I go through my garage and get my things together in hopes of getting some of it out of here. An unopened copy of Super Mario Brothers has sold for $660,000.
Good Lord.
It's a lot.
Sealed copy. I assume that had the hang tab on it. Yes, it is the finest known copy of the oldest sealed hang tab Super Mario Brothers. This sold on Heritage Auctions, which has been selling a lot of stuff like this over the years. So this is like from a very particular run in late '86 that has there are markings on the box that designate it as like, hey, it is not the first printing per se. It's not the first run of these cartridges, but it is a slightly later run that is a very short run. Yeah, the fourth run. And yes, the person who sold it asked not to be identified, but the quote here in this Eurogamer story is, "It stayed at the bottom of my office desk this whole time since the day I bought it. I never thought anything about it."
Okay.
Bought in late '86 as a Christmas gift, but ended up inside a desk drawer.
Crazy.
That is, that is not entirely dissimilar from the story of how I ended up with a sealed copy of Magical Chase all these years later for the TurboGrafx, which will not fetch, I don't think will fetch $660,000, but we'll see what we can do.
I was moving some of my stuff downstairs to this new office, and I got a big cache of games from Justin Calvert when he was clearing out his house for the arrival of his child. He was like, I need to get rid of it. So he turned up at my old apartment with literally like black sacks just full of shit. And obviously, as the editor of GameSpot for a long time, he was getting, similar to you, I imagine, lots of these games. So there's a couple of sealed ones in there. And I went through a couple to see, none of them might get anything more than like $50 or $60, but there's a sealed Deadly Premonition, which was pretty cool. Yeah. And there's a sealed Urban Chaos. Which
now you're talking.
Yeah. That's, you got like $80 for that or something, but yeah, there's a couple more in there as well, but I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, I've got some, I ended up with some weird sealed stuff over the years. Just that, but I think like I have a copy of Bonk 3 that's sealed that is actually not too, but actually it's worth something. Nice. So I need to send this stuff off and get it graded, I think is the next step in this process, because a lot of these are graded by WATA, the WATA. WATA.
Whataburger.
They are they seem to be the, WATAgames.com. They seem to have emerged as the kind of go-to grading spot. There was another one. I don't know if they're thought of less these days or not, but yes, a lot of these WATA graded games encased in plastic and all this other stuff. So I got to get my launch copy of Ocarina of Time and get that thing encased in lucite or whatever they do. And this Magical Chase and this Bonk and some of this other stuff. And I don't know, at least preserve it, if not sell it. So we shall see how that stuff goes. That's going to do it for the news. But hang out. Cool. We're going to take a quick break and come back with emails. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. This episode is brought to you in part by Unleashed with the Dingo and Danny, a new podcast fueled by Monster Energy. This summer, professional skateboarder Nyjah Houston will represent the U.S. in Tokyo for the skateboarding's Olympic debut. That's right, when they get into the skateboarding, in the Olympics, skateboards. But for Nyjah, the real skateboarding happens in the streets. Putting out videos, shredding with your friends, being in Thrasher, that's what it's really all about. Plus, he keeps a voodoo doll in his nightstand as a talisman? Superstition? Or secret keys to success? Hear for yourself by tuning into episode 1 of the podcast as Nyjah breaks down raw street skating and living the life of the world's most winning street skater. Hosted by sports personality The Dingo and professional snowboarder Danny Cass, Unleashed is the alternative sports podcast you've been waiting for, brought to you by Monster Energy. Hey, more than 50 million men in the United States suffer from male pattern baldness. Are you one of them? Well, for you, there's Keeps. Keeps offers a simple, stress-free way to keep your hair. And you can do it all online with virtual doctor consultations and medications that get delivered straight to your door every 3 months. This is low cost, so the treatments only start at just $10 a month. They've got generic versions to help keep those costs low. The packaging is discreet, the results are proven, and they've got more 5-star reviews than any of their competitors. Prevention is key. Treatments can take 4 to 6 months to see results, so act fast. If you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/bomb to receive your first month of treatment for free. That's keeps.com/bomb to get your first month free. keeps.com/bomb. All right, we're back, and it is now time for emails, electronic mails sent over the internet.
Email experience.
That's right.
Ooh.
The electronic email experience is here for you. Bombcast at giantbomb.com is the email address you will send your emails to if you want them to be considered. We have plucked a handful. Brad has plucked a handful of these for us to sift through, and let's get going from this one from Forrest. Last episode, Brad was talking about the can of snake meat he got for the release of Snake Eater, and wondering what exactly was inside it. So, did you see? Have you seen this? It was like a promo item they sent out. It was like just a can that they had put snake meat on. That Konami sent out. Yeah, yeah.
So not actual snake meat, you think?
Not so. Let's go on. Last year, I re-listened to a lot of old GFW radio podcasts and heard an anecdote from Sean Elliott about the very same can of snake meat he had concocted a giveaway in which he would send the can out to someone in the community on the condition that they open and consume the contents of the can without cooking or further preparing whatever was inside. The winner ended up consuming a can of very room temperature but completely edible clam chowder. This was about yeah.
Oh no!
This was about a year after the game would come out. I can only imagine what the contents of Brad's can are more than 15 years later.
That's worse than I could have imagined.
Yeah,
I was excited. Geez, I was thinking dog food, maybe, but
clam chowder.
Oh, that's a. Oh no, that's a. Yeah, I hope that thing's still sealed. Even just like a tiny air hole is just gonna.
Yeah, just toxic fumes, just like gassing his entire apartment. I've got some weird food stuff that is like still technically sealed, but maybe more dubiously so. I have a couple of bags of Contra chips that came out in Japan for like Contra Shattered Soldier. It's like a ridiculous.
How old are they?
2003-ish, I think. Ooh. 2002, 2003, and that's sealed.
Made it in the airplane and everything.
Right. Yes. Yeah. They made their way back from TGS.
Wow.
Yes. At some point. And the other thing are they put out lifesavers, like blue lifesavers, like blue raspberry lifesavers when Sonic the Hedgehog 3 came out for the Genesis.
Wow.
Dang.
And I have 2 rolls of those. Still just sealed. They have not been in a plastic bag or anything. It's the sort of thing that you would think that ants would have gotten to them by now, because those things are not sealed super tight, but they have made it this far. And I found those over the weekend.
1996?
Earlier than that. Probably earlier than that. This was, this would have been before there was a PlayStation or a Saturn. This was Sonic 3 release day. They sold these in stores. It was like this is 1994. February 94 is when Sonic 3 came out.
Wow.
I remember begging my mom to buy these.
Yeah. I've got 2 rolls of them.
Last I've got is I've got some chocolate covered insects from an EDF event. They sent them out as Valentine's Day.
Of course.
Never got around to eating those.
I still have. So I think it was Activision's 20th anniversary or maybe 30th. I don't know what the number actually is. They sent out chocolates that have like printed on Atari 2600 box covers. It's the Pitfall box art on a chocolate bar. And I took them and stuck. It was just like they weren't wrapped or anything like that. They were just in like a gift box. And so I took them and said like, well, I should put these in my freezer. And I checked because someone asked recently, because I mentioned it years before. I still have those in my freezer.
Oh man!
You could build a house with those now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
what's the thawing process for frozen chocolate. Is it just good? Is it just okay? You can just go for it. Does it separate?
They're just loose. They're not sealed. They're not protected from the elements. It is just like they're just in the freezer.
So it's taken on the flavors of everything else in that freezer.
Exactly. Like the Hot Pocket that got opened up in there or whatever. And
rolls.
I bet you could make it kind of gross, but maybe okay hot chocolate with that.
Okay. I don't know what to do with them now. I didn't know what to do with them then, which is why I just threw them in my freezer to think about it. I was like, I should preserve these because who else is going to do that? No one. That's who.
Was this is this like your garage freezer, like your extra tertiary
I don't
freezer?
I don't have an extra
This is your
freezer.
Main ass fucking freezer. This is like
it's in the ice. So the ice maker, the ice tray thing broke at some point, so it doesn't get used And so I just flung it in there and closed it up and have not thought about it.
Wow.
And because who goes in there? And so I just have these freezer burn chocolate, weirdly probably collectible to someone.
Send them to what was that crew? The people who check all the games.
Wada crew.
Right, yeah. Send them over to Wada
and
paste a new site and see what happens there. I don't know. But like, so now that I don't know what to do with them. I don't want to eat them. It would be dumb to hold on to them for all these years just to eat them. Like, surely someone should collect them. Should I send these to the Strong Museum and say, like, here, I hope you have a temperature controlled room to put these in? Like, what it.
If you encased it in resin, would chocolate melt, or would it just be fine in there?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Do they still look like the boxes, or are they just frozen over now?
Last time I looked, they did, but it's been a while. I probably need to go check and see. But I think it's games from different eras, so it might be like it's Pitfall, and then maybe like more recent Activision games. It might be like one of the Call of Duties and something like that. Like it's like 4, if I remember right. It's 4 little box shaped.
Wow.
Chocolates that I ended up with.
Good luck, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know. Mike from Rochester writes in and says, "Greetings. I like to arrange my desktop icons in the approximate shape of a F on the left side of my desktop. Do any of you have a shape or arrangement you prefer?" I sort by
folder called Desktop Crap, and I put everything in there.
Yeah.
I
have 3 of those folders within each other.
Mine is called Unimportant Docs, and inside it are actually intensely important docs.
All your
Mine's just strewn about. No rhyme or reason.
It's a lot of NDAs and employment contracts and crap like that. It's
saved to desktop.
Yes. But I sort by type of the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows of icons that I've got sitting there.
Oh, I got. Well, my icons are super huge because my eyes are bad, but I got 3, 6, 9, 10.
That's a lot.
Mine are all just
10 by 5.
Premiere timeline screenshots because they automatically get saved to the that and images posting to Twitter.
Yeah.
That's it.
Tim in Mobile, Alabama asks the question that's on everybody's lips. With the power of these new consoles, will Mortal Kombat 12 look so fucked up that people finally say it's gone too far? But for realsies.
We're there.
Man, I was close with 11.
Yeah.
There's definitely some ones that I kind of recoil from. Shit.
It's just the actions that are happening. They have to up the ante of the act. You can't just punch someone's head off. I guess you can. Well, I think they're so ridiculous.
Yeah, but I also think they got into a rhythm there where a lot of them just end with, here's a body that's been completely torn to shreds. And like it is they're all getting torn different ways, but a lot of them are just like, yo, this body got fucked up. And you have a few of them that are like the Scorpion one where the head is left remaining. Like any of the ones that have the head remaining mostly intact at the end are the ones that stuck out to me the most.
A death stare as well. Yeah.
Yes. The death stare, and then it still kind of keeps moving in slow motion. So it's just this dead face just going like slowly opening its mouth more. And I think those are the ones that stuck out more. So I think for that stuff to get more gross, I think it has to be stuff like that. It can't just be like this body got obliterated, because then you're just like, it's a red mist and bones and whatever. It's got to be more specific. Like, I don't know. They've done so much.
Yeah.
Or if somebody's not quite dead, they're always dead by the time. I guess that's the whole. It's not a fatality.
Anything that's like an instant. Yes, anything that's like an instant death is just like kind of whatever. It's the ones where it's like, here's the top half of a body trying to crawl away as the legs are being destroyed, and then the top half is then getting, Rambo comes, shoots an exploding arrow in it, or whatever the fuck, like that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know how much worse it can get. They've really kept the ESRB on their toes.
Yeah, I imagine they just have a folder on their desktop, also called Unimportant Docs, that are just like a bunch of text files and printed out emails to PDFs, And just like, yo, what if we murdered okay, no, okay. It's a lot of pitches like that. Like, check this shit out. Alex from Austin writes in and says, what is the superior video game airborne movement option? Double jump or air dash?
Ooh.
This is double jump in Abe's Odyssey. Oh, wait, Abe's whatever it's called. Oddworld, Soulstorm.
Soulstorm.
Right?
I don't know.
I like an air dash.
Yeah. I want an air dash. But I think the double jump might be more effective because you get to jump higher.
It depends on the type of double jump. Yeah, a double jump that like has a really tight timing window of like you must hit it at the peak of your jump. I want one that you
sometimes
can
you'll like extend your jump
whenever.
Yeah. Like so, like it almost then you get the benefit that an air dash might have of like you can jump out, get some distance, and then as you're falling, jump again to get even more horizontal distance. I think that sounds like those are the most satisfying double jumps.
I can barely jump once. I don't want to have to try and jump a second time in the air. Give me the air dash. I want the air dash.
I like the double jump that you can use at any stage, so that you can use it to like mitigate fall damage.
Yeah,
it's just like right at the end, you do a little jump, and then you're like, I'm good.
I think that's always fun. Like that doesn't break a game. That's one of those things where you might feel like you got one over on the game, but it's always to the benefit of the game. You always feel better about that game when you can do that specific thing.
Yeah, it's empowering.
Yeah.
Okay,
go ahead.
Would an air dash? All right. Would the orientation I could dash change depending on how I was? So if I'm laying down and then I managed to kind of like get myself up, could I then dash forward from there? Or is it always like a horizontal dash?
Like forward-ish?
Yeah.
You can't
in my mind,
you want A-way control in the air.
Yeah, you want full air control.
Okay, then I might go double jump then.
Yeah. Okay. Trey from Houston writes in and says, I was watching... it says, Balan Wonderworld is not for kids. I'm watching the Balan Wonderworld quick look with my 5-year-old son. He thought the dance numbers were boring. The only thing he liked were the air horns and that guy who says, stick it up your yeah. Jeff, I regret to inform you that you are a better kids game than Balan Wonderworld.
Wait, is Fred Durst in Balan Wonderworld?
No, Fred Durst is on my soundboard.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. So I that game has a weird progression blocker in it where if you don't have enough trophies by the time you finish the 3rd chapter, which I do not, you don't get to unlock the 4th chapter. And so now I have to go back into the first 3 worlds and get more trophies before I can unlock the next set of levels. And I don't think I want to do that. But I did say on Friday that I would potentially play the rest of that game on some sort of live stream.
What have you done?
But now I'm deciding, do I do that backtracking on a live stream or do I do that on my own time and then come back when I've unlocked the 4th world? I don't know.
Give the people everything.
Well, yeah, people want to spare, right? So if they want to spare, then they want me they want me backtracking through earlier levels of Balan Wonderworld. Fuck.
But you have like all the skills you've learned now from those other levels you could bring to level 1 with the farmer.
Yeah, no, the first level of the game has spider webs that if I had the spider suit, I could definitely climb up and get more gems. So you're 1,000% correct there.
There we go.
More gems mean more Tims. Have you gotten access to the 3rd level? Is there? Remember you said that there might have been a 3rd chapter for each of those levels?
It's the boss fight. I believe. I think it's just the boss fight. So, yeah. The hits just keep on coming. Kyle writes in, hey guys, I'm just wondering, with all the shovelware that comes out across various platforms all the time, how does a game like Balan Wonderworld catch the attention of the site? Well, I think you have to remember that Balan Wonderworld has a bit of a pedigree to it on a few different levels, right? Yeah. One, it's a full price game. So if we are doing our services as people showing you games that you may or may not want to buy with your own money, a game that costs more money is going to end up being something that like, hey, we might save you some money along the way by showing this. 2, Square published it. I think that ends up being more user interest. So a lot of it is like interest from people onto us through that. And then how this game gets made is on the backs of, hey, this is Yuji Naka, the programmer, like one of the name behind Sonic Team, the name behind the original Sonic the Hedgehog, and also I believe the art director of Knights, which is a game that some people seem to like. And so with that pedigree in mind, it rises above a certain amount of the chatter of the zillion games that come to Steam every week to a point where it's like, we should probably take a look at this. I think that's the process of like, you just kind of know. You look at it and go like, yeah, we should probably take a look at this one. It's got names behind it. It's like there's going to be interest there from people to want to know what this thing is, one way or the other.
It is a PS5 Xbox Series X game too?
Yep, it's on.
Right.
It is on both generations of consoles. It is also on the Switch. Jan, how much have you bought it on the Switch? How much have you been?
I swam with those dolphins, man. Those dolphins are, I think I said last week, like, what is this game trying to say? It's not dark enough. And then those dolphins came, and then it was like, this is kind of messed up. That's second world, not
not for kids.
Yeah, no. World 2 is not
for kids.
Definitely not for kids. World 2 is not great, and World 3, the world where there are bugs, is also not great.
Play Bugsnax.
Yeah, I should go back to Bugsnax. I kind of bounced off it pretty early on, just catching some bungers there early on. I was just like, I don't know.
I completed it yesterday, actually. I've been playing it
Which
with my daughter.
Yeah.
I don't know. That game changes. I don't know. I guess it's doing a bait and switch kind of thing, but it's a well, put it this way. I'm mostly playing it because my not 3-year-old kid likes watching it and thinks it's funny, and then the ending kind of goes in a bit of a different direction. I was kind of like, we're just we're moving the Bugsnax. We're not murdering them, or
it's fine. We just have to get them over here. It's everything will be okay. They went to the farm upstate, and everything's fine now.
You can complete it, and then you can go back to your save before the ending. So we're just gonna keep catching some Scoopy Banoopies, man.
And you've just got to put that ending out of your mind and be like, no, this is fine. Everyone's fine. This is all good.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good game.
Neil from Ireland writes in and says, it's everywhere now, but Batman Arkham Asylum, was Batman Arkham Asylum the first game with detective vision, or the first to do it well? I feel people talk a lot about that game's influence on combat systems, but not so much its detective vision. And then wrote a couple of days later, I think I want to rephrase my question after thinking on it. Is Batman Arkham Asylum to blame for detective vision today? All right.
What came before?
There is, I mean, it's certainly not.
No,
but it's not the first game with a vision mode in it where you can stop moving and highlight a thing to get here's a thing in the world that we should do something with. There's a Genesis game I'm thinking of, but I can't remember if it's the Spider-Man game. No. Anyway, it is certainly not the first game where you pause or stop the action to get like a different vision mode on the action and go like, oh, there's a thing here to interact with or kill or punch, which are forms of interactions. But it is certainly the modern pointer for that sort of thing. I feel like this not a ton of these lately, are there?
Yeah.
It's always seems to be a way to get additional information on the screen without clouding the UI a bit, you know, because the alternative is you end up in like a watchdog situation where like everything just kind of has fucking tags floating off it. I think it aside from its sort of primary thematic use in a lot of these games, you know, it does sort of serve a function of UX or something that, you know, it seems to apply to like every game. You know what I mean? Like Witcher games and stuff like that. You know,
like Witcher vision or Hitman vision in those recent Hitman games is a form of that as well, for sure. Gosh, I had another game and I lost it.
A lot of people in the chat are saying Metroid Prime. Were you thinking?
Yes,
before
yes,
that?
the scan visor in Metroid Prime. That was what I was thinking of. That's another earlier example of a similar type thing of like you were saying. Here's a way to get additional information, without necessarily cluttering things up.
Yeah, like imagine trying to do Hitman without that vision. Are you then just telegraphing who the target is all the time? Like, is there something even in the process of turning that on and looking that gives the player some sort of like empowerment? Doesn't feel like you're spoon feeding them.
Yeah,
like, it definitely seems like
if you don't have that, are you then just putting waypoints on the map a little more often? Because otherwise, like that game probably is way less fun if there's no pointers, at least in the direction. Well, they've done that in some of their like limited time missions, right? About like, hey, we're not going to tell you where this person is per se. But I guess the vision mode gives you much more than that. It's not always just that.
Shows you like different floors of the building, or just gives you a broader. I wonder if it's important in a game like that where you're indoors most of the time as well, that it kind of gives you a bit of an X-ray feel in the way that like Splinter Cell had the night vision, but the reason was because the game had to be in the dark all the time. So if you didn't have the night vision mode, it would have felt unbelievably claustrophobic. You would have been doing a lot of probably trial and error to solve things, whereas clicking that at least gave you a different view, so you could sort of build a bigger and better understanding of the level or something.
Yeah, or if they didn't do that, you would just have the game not be as dark, and then you're like doing a stealth game in broad daylight, and that's weird too, so it's it serves a handful of purposes. Last question here, Arthur from Portsmouth in the United Kingdom. With game development significantly disrupted in many places and major releases likely to be few and far between, how are you going to fill your personal gaming calendars this year? I, for one, am grateful I can catch up on big releases I did not have nearly enough time for in recent years. I don't know that I have an answer to this question, because I feel like we're going to wait and see what comes out, right? I mean,
yeah.
Luckily, I've got a couple that I know I'm going to be putting a ton of time into. That's Monster Hunter, and then probably Guilty Gear. And those will probably last me fill the void, I guess, when there are lulls and in releases this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of games I can play at any given moment. Yeah. I mean, there's a Mr. Do core out for the Mister now, so there's my year is full one way or the other. NGU Industries just came out. It's just a idle game from the factory-based idle game from the maker of NGU Idle. I could spend a lot of time staring at those numbers going up, baby. Actually, I want to play. I downloaded it, but haven't time to play it. A couple of Apple Arcade bangers, weirdly enough, potentially.
Oh, yeah, really? There's a Final Fantasy-ish one.
Yeah,
is that out?
Fantasian. Yeah, that is out, and also. Like whatever, that's cool. Maybe that'll be great. It has a cool look to it. But Clap Hands Golf.
Oh shit.
No, the developers of Hot Shots Golf have a game on Apple Arcade, and they have called it Clap Hands Golf.
Do you clap your hands to hit the ball? Is it like Let's Tap?
It's HANZ. Clap Hands. That's the name of the developer.
Clap Hands, like Werner Herzog.
Yeah, they have just if Werner Herzog developed this game, it would just be called Werner Herzog Golf, which would also
welcome to my golf game.
Yeah,
there is no hole. You hit the ball forever.
Yeah, just be fucking desert golfing, but with no holes.
Yeah.
So that is out, and that appears to be, from the little bit I did see of it, it's fucking Hot Shots Golf. It's everybody's golf, but on Apple Arcade. So if you are like me and accidentally stayed subscribed to that after your last trial ran out, and you have this month in Apple Arcade, this also happens to be the month that they said, fuck it, let's put out a bunch of games. They put a bunch of older iOS games. Seems like they are trying to put on some of the like classics of the App Stores type stuff. So like there's a version of Freeze on Apple Arcade now. No Doodle Jump yet, but Cut the Rope Remastered.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Where's My Water?
Yeah, no Where's My Water yet. I would love to see an updated version of Ridiculous Fishing as even though that is still on the App Store, the UI is pretty small on the current iPhone.
I don't think Vlambeer is going to be getting around to that anytime soon.
Well, God, someone has to. What the hell? Come on. Outsource it to somebody. Make Apple do it. They love their game developers over there. Yeah. So they decided to put a bunch of stuff on Apple Arcade, and some of it actually seems like it could be kind of cool. So if you're in that boat, give a look at it. I think it's going to do it for us here. Over here at Giant Bombcast headquarters. Jan, Jason, Danny, thank you for hanging out.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
You can find Danny O'Dwyer's work on the internet on YouTube. It's out there somewhere. YouTube.com/noclipvideo. Is that the spot? It's the host. If the host of this show knew the exact URL, it would not be nearly as fun to ham-fistedly do this. Yes.
Video game. I actually do think we own videogamedocumentaries.com. So go to videogamedocumentaries.com.
All right, videogamedocumentaries.com. Go check it out. I'm going to check and see if it's. Go to goku.com. I think I kept that domain. I don't think I let that lapse.
If videogamedocumentaries.com works, then that is now the way that we need to do this outro.
It experienced a network protocol violation that cannot be repaired. So it seems like there is some domain there, but maybe it is not configured properly.
All right, give me
your IT department to work to take a look at it. So everybody's hang out. We got more stuff coming up this week. We'll be back next week with an episode of the Giant Bombcast. I'll see you then. Bye.
Exciting.